you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you, Nebraska, a great place. Thanks for victories that we've had in Nebraska, and we've had a lot of them, and I've had a lot of them for you, too. It's great to be back in the American heartland with thousands and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. What a great crowd this is. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate it. Your state had some of the very severe storms on Friday night. I was going to come. I was ready to come. The pilot said, sir, we have tornadoes, we have hailstones, we have everything. I said, I don't care. This is Nebraska. We've got to be there. We've got to be there. And then they said, you can't do it. And they also had a little thing called a tornado watch. I don't know. We don't want to have a tornado with all these people, right? I think that's not a good thing. So we decided to make it today, and it's an honor. I wouldn't have missed it. I wouldn't have missed it. I could have gotten out of this one. I could have said to Charles, Charles, sorry, I couldn't do it on Friday night because of the bad weather. And I heard it was really bad. I heard nobody would have disputed that. But I said, I got to come back, and I'm coming back on Sunday. And that's where we are right now. See, now Biden would say, I'm coming back on Monday. No, it's Sunday. If I ever made any of those mistakes, they'd run me out of town, right? But it really is. These are great families with us today. They're friends of mine. I have a lot of friends of mine, actually, right here in the audience, and I appreciate you being here. We really have a big thing to go. 6 months from now, the people of Nebraska are going to vote to fire the radical left Democrats. We're going to elect Charles W. Herbster, a good man, a very good man. He's going to be elected as your governor, and you're going to send an incredible slate of true American first Republicans to Congress, and together we're going to end crazy Nancy Pelosi's political career once and for all. You could take the 5 worst presidents, and I say this, and I say it, I think we could actually add to it, but you could take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put them together, and they would not have been able to do, and they certainly haven't done the damage that Joe Biden has done to our country in just 16 months. 16 months of time ago. Think of the damage that's been caused. But here's the good. 2.5 years from now, we have a big election, and in November, we have a big midterm. We have a very big, I think, really one of the most consequential that we've ever had, because we have to stop what's going on, and they want to keep it going. They'll keep it going. We have to stop it. The contrast between the Trump administration's unbelievable and unprecedented success, and even the enemy says it, and a lot of bad people that we don't like, and you have people on the other side that we do like, but they all say we had a great success. Joe Biden, and that's despite all of the witch hunts and hoaxes and everything else we had to go through. And Joe Biden's unmatched and really unmitigated failure, because it's been a tremendous, tremendous failure. Let's look at some of the facts, the numbers, and the results. It's undeniable. I got gas down to $1.87 a gallon, and even lower in some places. And they have it at $5, $6, $7. And did you see over the weekend, even $8 a gallon in some places? I achieved what was once considered totally impossible. We were energy independent. Can you believe it? They surrendered our energy dominance, and they've been begging for mercy from OPEC, Russia, Venezuela, Iran. They'll take it wherever they get it, and we're sitting right on top of liquid gold. We created the safest border in U.S. history. It was the best ever, and they have turned it into the worst border disaster. I don't think anywhere in the world, you can go to a third world country, I don't think you'd see anything like it in the world. No matter who it is, there's never been a border like this anywhere. People just coming in by the millions. And don't believe when you hear 1 million, 2 million, it'll be 10 or 15 million by the time that ends. And we're talking about it a short period of time. They're coming over at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We have no idea who the hell they are, where they're coming from. Last month, they had 141 different countries represented. It's horrible. We ended catch and release. We deported record numbers of illegal aliens and gang members. Tens of thousands of gang members we used to send out of this country. We would send them back to where they came from. Just a terrible thing. And now we don't do that anymore. In fact, our ICE patriots and our Border Patrol patriots are scorned by the administration. We built hundreds and hundreds of miles of border wall. In fact, I don't even know if you know this, we completely finished our original plan of border wall. We then added much more and almost got that finished too, despite 2.5 years of litigation that we had to go through. We built much more than we even thought, but we saw certain areas as we were building that needed it, and we got that almost built. 3 weeks with it's all that it would have taken to finish a phase 2. The border wall was a great success and gave us record low immigration. Now the Biden administration doesn't know what to do, or do they know what to do? That's even scarier if they do know what to do and they're not doing it. I rebuilt our military, including our nuclear capacity and the creation of Space Force. 75 years, not since the Air Force. They gave $85 billion of our military away to the Taliban. You remember that? The press doesn't like talking about it. They don't mention it, including 700,000 machine guns, rifles, and other firearms. Think of what 700,000. I don't know if you know it. They're one of the biggest sellers of equipment now, guns, rifles, planes, munitions. One of the biggest anywhere in the world. They're selling the stuff that we stupidly left behind, as well as airplanes, helicopters, tanks, and 70,000 trucks. Does anybody here own a car place, or does anybody have a used car lot? 70,000 trucks. Many of them are armor-plated, very expensive, of course, millions and millions of dollars. And they gave it away for nothing, for no reason. They wanted to get out. They took the military out first. It's a horrible, think of what happened. They took the military out first. I was getting us safely out of Afghanistan. I'm the one that got us down to 2,000 soldiers. But we were going to keep Bagram, not because of Afghanistan, but because it's an hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. And we had it. Billions and billions of dollars were spent many years ago building it. And we walked out at the dead of night and did leave the dogs behind, by the way. They were left behind. We were getting out of that. And we were going to get out with dignity and power and strength, and we weren't going to lose soldiers. We had 13 killed, many, many injured. Nobody even talks about the injured. No arms, no legs, blown to pieces. And just so sad to see. I think it was the lowest day in the history of our country, that time period, and the media barely talked about it. In the Middle East, we wanted to, and we did. We ended the endless wars. There were endless wars, but we made them ending and bringing our troops. We brought them back home. Biden turned Afghanistan into truly something that nobody ever thought possible. In fact, I think Putin, when he looked at that, he said, this is the time to go in, because in my watch, he wouldn't have done it. He would have never, ever done it. He saw the weakness. He saw the incompetence. None of this would have ever happened, 100%. Somebody said, are you sure? Well, we went through 4 years plus, if you think about it, plus a very long time where we were politicking, right? Nothing happened, 4 years, nothing, not even a question about it. And I spoke to him about it. He knew how I felt. He wouldn't have done it. That's a shame. On to so many people being killed. The whole place is just a disaster. That whole mess, what a mess, and it should have never happened. On Tuesday, Biden's going to the Javelin factory. They build the Javelins. Remember the Javelins with tank busters? It's in a great state, Alabama. Boy, we won Alabama, too. We won Alabama so big. The same weapons that I supplied to Ukraine while the Obama-Biden administration, they supplied blankets. You remember the heat I took? I was supplying Javelins, and they were saying it was good. He gave blankets, I gave Javelins. And they were saying, like, oh, it's supposed to be good the other way. Well, it turned out that without the Javelins, there wouldn't even be anything going. Remember this. I ended the pipeline. I supplied the Javelins. and I got $430 billion more for NATO from these other countries that were delinquent. They weren't paying. And then I had to listen to these people up here, the fake news, say he's been so nice. He's been so nice to Russia. Russia. You know who didn't think I was nice to Russia? Putin. He said, you're killing me on the pipeline. The people of Alabama know what's going on. When he shows up on Tuesday, the people of Alabama know. We gave it. You know, they're always trying to take what we did and trying to say, gee, they did it. It's all misinformation. Their whole party is based on misinformation. Everything from Russia, 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 that hoax, to the laptop from hell, to the impeachment hoax, #1, impeachment hoax, #2, the Mueller bullshit. It was all, they're a party, they are the party of misinformation. Under my leadership, America was strong and America was respected. Like maybe never before, we were respected. We were respected. Now, leaders of other countries don't even return the phone call of the President of the United States. They don't want to talk to him. They want, in many cases, nothing to do with them other than to take advantage of us. Like, we're giving $33 billion. What's Europe giving? You know, Europe is very affected by what's going on over there. You know what they're giving? They're giving a lot of lip service by comparison, a lot of lip service. Under the Trump administration, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world. There was never an economy like we had pre-COVID, the China virus. And we had no inflation, and we would have kept it that way, because inflation was caused and started. Now it's a raging tiger, but it was caused and started by energy prices. You look at it. But now it's a raging tiger. Now you look at the food, you look at everything. Food is worse than energy. What has gone up? Anybody buy some bacon lately? You say, no, thank you, darling. They think it's a misprint. It's quadruple. They think it's a misprint. They look at the price. Oh, isn't that cute? They made a mistake. Somebody made a mistake, David. Biden created the worst inflation in much more than 40 years, and it's going a lot higher. Get used to it. It's costing families right now almost $6,000 a year. That's bigger than any tax increase that any government, any party, anybody could ever imagine proposing. Inflation is a disaster. First they said it was transitory. Now they say it's Putin's fault. It's Putin's fault. Let's blame Putin. Why the hell not, right? It's Putin's fault. I gave you the largest tax cuts and tax reforms and regulatory reforms in history. The radical Democrats intend to impose the largest tax hike in the history of our country. If they get any of this stuff done, it'll be the largest tax increase in the history of our country. They're working feverishly to put them all back, all of those restrictions that we took off, including what you did and what I did for the farms and the farmers, where you couldn't even use your land, you couldn't even touch your land. If you had a little puddle in your land, they considered it a waterway. You say, no, darling, that's a puddle that's been there for a long time. No, no, that's considered a lake, and you can't do a damn thing, and they want to pile on more and more restrictions. And I'll tell you, when I signed all of that nonsense out, people really appreciate it, and the people of Nebraska appreciated it, and I appreciate them. We created 7 million new jobs. That's a record. We had another record. We had 164 million people working, achieved the largest poverty reduction in 50 years, lifted 7 million people off food stamps, lifted 10 million people off welfare. Nobody's ever seen numbers like that. Nobody's ever seen it. Under Biden, there are still millions fewer jobs than before the pandemic. Millions and millions, far lower than 164 million people. Way, way lower. And a lot of people, in all fairness, are just not going to go back to work until they have to. They're not going back to work. 4 million people have not returned to the labor force. Real wages have declined 12 months in a row now. Think of that. Real wages have declined. They have a thing called the misery index. It's at the highest level ever recorded, and the economy shrank to it shrank by, think of this, 1.4% in the first quarter. Nobody's ever seen that, but you don't hear it because the fake news, these people right here, they don't want to report it. And you know, a lot of times, see the red lights on the cameras, all those cameras, a lot of times when they see I'm going there or I'm going to someplace else or I'm going to talk about the rigged and stolen election, the cameras go off. Charlie, turn off the cameras. He's going to talk about the rigged election. Turn them off. Turn them off, Charlie. It's 1.4 down. 1.4 down. You didn't see that with Trump. On COVID, we had tremendous success with therapeutics and Operation Warp Speed, which everybody said to this day was one of the most incredible things ever done by government. I rejected mandates. I rejected unscientific lockdowns. And I fought to get our children back into school. And I think, very importantly, that nobody says, I've just started saying it because it's, in fact, I'll say it's science. You know the way they say it's science, remember? Remember Fauci when he said, no, nobody should wear a mask. Then 3 months later, he became a radical masker. If you could wear 7, put them over your eyes, put a couple over your mouth, your nose, masks all over your face. But at the beginning, he said masks are no good. Importantly, I let Republican governors run their states the way they should be run without interference from the federal government, but with a lot of help from the federal government in getting ventilators and therapeutics and supplies of all shapes, sizes, and kinds to them. And without cost, we got them. We did an incredible job in getting them equipped. Remember when they got credit for doing a great job? The Democrats, they go, oh, didn't he do a wonderful job in COVID? He couldn't even get tests out, couldn't get anything out. It's because they just took the credit. Disinformation, remember it, the party of disinformation, and we have to say it because almost everything they say is false. By contrast, under Biden, more people died of COVID last year than in all of 2020. They failed on testing, they failed on therapeutics, and they imposed horrific mandates, punishing lockdowns and radical mask regulations. Now, you know, they always say, oh, didn't he do wonderful? Actually, they're not saying that too much. Even these guys don't get away. You know, didn't he do wonderful in COVID? I call it the China virus. Does anybody mind if I call it COVID, right? You know, in 1917, they had the Spanish flu. Nobody said, gee, don't call it the Spanish flu. There was a reason it was called. Well, it's the China virus, whether we like it or not. And I was also right about Wuhan, the labs in Wuhan. I think I was right about everything, she said. I think I was right about everything, right? We were right about everything. What a mess this country's in. Our country's going to hell. But we'll turn it around. We're going to turn it around. I just hope it's not going to be too late in some respects, because what happened in Ukraine is very dangerous. This could be a very dangerous thing for the world. This could end up being a world war. We have incompetent people running things. It could end up being a world war. And we have 2.5 years to go. We have, fortunately, not too long to go to the midterms, but we have 2.5 years to go for the presidential election. And I never realized how important being president was until I watched what's happening now, where we have somebody that goes over to Europe and embarrasses our country, embarrasses our country. Come here, Joe. Come here. Stand up here, Joe. Wave, Joe. Wave to the crowd, Joe. Embarrasses our country. Thankfully, very dangerous period of time. Thankfully, a Trump-appointed judge recently struck down Biden's ridiculous mask mandates in a righteous victory for American freedom. Joe Biden and the radical left have turned calm into chaos, competence into incompetence, stability into anarchy, prosperity into poverty, and security into catastrophe. Otherwise, they're doing a fantastic job. The election was rigged and stolen, and now our country is being destroyed because of it. Such stupid decisions are being made, including the border, including Afghanistan. We had it all set to come out. We would have come out with dignity and pride and strength. I spoke to Abdul, the leader of the Taliban. I said, Abdul, you kill any more soldiers, we're going to hit you so hard. Nobody will ever be hit. Nobody will ever be hit like you're going to be hit. And he said, I understand, Your Excellency. He called me Your Excellency. We didn't lose one soldier in 18 months. Think of it. Unlike Chicago and these Democrat-run cities, we didn't lose one soldier in Afghanistan until this tragedy of the way they left, the way they got out. And I'm the one that set it up to get out. I brought it down all the way down to 2,000 soldiers. They were going to stay there until we got our hostages, because I call them hostages. We have still hundreds of people in there that are American citizens. And in all fairness, some people that should be allowed to come out, some of the interpreters, etc. We took hundreds of thousands of people out. 97%, it came out the other day, 97% should not have been coming out. And in that group, you have terrorists. You're going to be paying a price for a long time for what they did. 3% of the people were entitled to come out. They rushed the airplanes. 28 people fell off the side of the airplanes from 3,000 feet up. That's 3 times the height of the Empire State Building. They fell off the side of the airplanes, 28 people. This is the most dangerous time in the history of our country because of the incredible power of modern-day weaponry, which we totally rebuilt, including our nuclear. Not that I wanted to. I hated to rebuild the nuclear, but we have no choice because others are doing it. Meanwhile, we have a president who has no idea what's happening, who is shaking hands with the air while Putin talks about nuclear weapons all the time. Nobody's ever talked about nuclear weapons. You're not supposed to talk about nuclear weapons. The N-word. I used the term, the N-word. They went crazy. He said the N-word. I said, yeah, the nuclear word. You don't talk about the nuclear word. You just don't talk about it. It's too devastating to talk about. He's throwing it around all the time because he doesn't respect our leadership. Just look at the video of Joe Biden attempting to speak last week, very tough, to Russia and Putin. Take a look at this.
That will enhance our underlying effort to accommodate the Russian oligarchs and make sure we take their ill-begotten gains. We're going to accommodate them. We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy and the guys who are the kleptocracies. But these are bad guys.
And it got worse, but we don't have all afternoon to it. Once and for all, Joe Biden should put the question to rest by taking a cognitive test. You have to do it, and releasing the results for the entire world to see. When the fake news started saying fake crap about me, I said to Doc Ronnie, who's now, as you know, Ronnie Jackson, he's a great congressman from Texas. He's so popular. He's the most popular guy you'd ever imagine. But he was a White House doctor. He was an admiral, a great admiral. He was a highly respected man. He was the doctor for Bush. He was for, let's see, he was for Bush and Obama, and he was for me. And I said, so who's the healthiest of the group? And Doc Ronnie said, oh, he likes me. He said, you are, sir. You're the perfect specimen. He said, I said, what about Obama? He's in good shape. Sir, you're the most healthy guy. I love Doc Ronnie. I love Doc Ronnie. But I said, what do you think about a cognitive test, Ronnie? He said, well, you know, the problem is, you know, you're dealing with Walter Reed. It's very public. And you have other doctors watching. And if you do badly, the word's going to get out, or we'll probably have to announce it. I said, how tough is this test, Ronnie? because these people are calling me bad names. They're calling me stupid. They're stupid, Ronnie, and we got to end this bullshit. So I said, how long and how tough is the test? They said, well, the first questions are easy, but when you get to the middle of the test, they're very hard. And at the end of the test, you know, a lot of people have no clue. They can't answer those questions. They're tough. It's a basically tough test. You know, it gets easy, and then it goes up. And so what do you think, Ronnie? I said, I don't know. It depends. How do you do on this stuff? I said, okay, I do good. I do good. Smart guy? I'm actually real smart, Ronnie. Let's go, Ronnie. Let's go. So they gave me the test, and he will tell you I aced it, every question right. And one person said, I've never seen anybody ace it before. I said, I aced it. I aced it. And they got, you know, it was really a good thing because they no longer called me stupid, you know? They no longer call me stupid. Now they say, he's a dictator who wants to take over the world. They say all sorts of other, but they don't call me stupid anymore. But I think it's something that a presidential candidate or a president should take. You know, you're representing, you see the damage caused right now by what's happening. And I think it's something that you should take. It's something you should take. And I support it wholeheartedly. See, that would normally be breaking news, but they won't report it. But I think everybody should take it. Everybody that even runs should take it. You should have a certain standard. You know, not to equate us with China, but I'll tell you what, they have a very tough system. You start off all even when you're about 2 years old, and then they start taking the smarter, the smart. You get up to that thing, and I will tell you, President Xi's a very smart man, whether you like him or not. And you notice that during 4 years, he didn't attack Taiwan. Never thought of it. Now, all of a sudden, they have a lot of bombers flying over Taiwan. They're looking. I think the only thing that's going to stop him is he's going to look at the mess that Russia got themselves into, and he might say, Charles, are you doing good? Look at him. He's sitting there with that beautiful hat on. I'd love to wear a hat like Charles W., good man. He's been maligned. He's been maligned. He's been badly maligned, and it's a shame. That's why I came out here. It would have been easier for him to say, I'm not going to come. I come out. I defend people when I know they're good. He's a good man. I came out here. A lot of people, I mean, this is the way David Bossy, right? This is the way it works. I mean, it's a lot of people, they say, and they look at you and they say, well, you don't have to do it, sir. You could. I have to defend my friends. I have to defend people that are good. He was with us from the beginning. I just met so many people backstage. Thank you, sir, for being here. He's been my friend for 30 years. He's the most innocent human being. He's the last person to do any of this stuff. And even the stuff they're accusing of, what did they say? He talked to somebody? He talked. It's a disgrace what they've done. It's a disgrace, and that's why I'm with you. I could have gotten out of this one real easy. I could have played golf. I could have gone to the beach. I could have done, and I'm here with Charles W. Charles W. Herbster. I said, Charles, are you sure I have to come? Please, sir, I'd like it to come. It's so unfair. And his friends called me. They said, I'd like you to come because it's so unfair. And we can't let this stuff happen. You know, and by the time he clears himself, the election's over. They'll say, oh, it was right. Remember that whole thing with some very bad people when they were talking about the tax returns and they lose the election? And after the election, the guy said, well, we won the election, didn't we, even though it was totally made up. That was about a guy named, a rhino named Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, a real beauty. He's a real beauty, that guy. But remember, they said all sorts of bad things about his taxes, and then he lost. He got his ass kicked, actually. He ran a horrible campaign. Remember the respect he had? He respected Obama so much. I said, why did you salute him? I mean, he was just all in for... It's tough when you're all in for somebody that you're running against. He was all in. But they lied about his taxes. They said horrible things about his taxes. And when they went to Harry Reid, I guess it was, right? They went to Harry Reid, and they said, what do you think about it? You said bad things. You lied about his taxes. He goes, we won, didn't we? Yeah. That's the way they play the game, isn't it, my man? CPAC. CPAC is a great organization. We have a great gentleman here, but I'm going to introduce him. I'm not going to talk about him now because he's going to come up and maybe even say a few words. He's been great. He's been a supporter, and I want to thank all of the people from CPAC that are here right now. So that happened to a rhino named Mitt Romney, and it happens to others. Oh, by the way, it happens to me on a daily basis, all this stuff. They make up crap like nobody's ever seen. But you know what? It hasn't been so effective. I got more votes than anybody's ever gotten. Can you believe it? Any president, no president has ever gotten. With the support of all of the patriots here tonight, we saved our country once, and together we will save our country again. Is that right, Matt Schlapp? What do you think, Matt Schlapp? We're going to save our country again, Matt? All we need is a House, a Senate, and a president who will very simply put America first. And we did that. We put America first. And we had people fighting us. Remember when they first came in? We will not support America first. I said, you know what? Such a great name. Even if you don't support what we do, and that's what it is. It's America first. You don't say that. We're not going to support. Say, we don't support Trump. We don't support his policies. But you don't say, we will not support America first. I used to love it. They changed after about 1 week. They were getting hammered. I ran twice. I won twice and did much better the second time than I did the first. We got 12 million more votes than in 2016. And likewise, we got more votes. I just said it. I'll say it again and again and again. Than any president in the history of our country by far. And now we may have to do it again. We have to do it again. And Joe Biden didn't get votes. He got ballots. That's all he got. He got ballots. Where the hell did they come from? Where did all those ballots come from? By the millions and millions they poured in. What a lot of hoax. And they hate, you know, I want you to see Boston's country on 417 million. Stay is Dinesh, right? Dinesh D'Souza, a movie. But it's not about the movie. It's about Truth to Vote. They're coming out with their findings. These are thousands of patriots that went around the country viewing tape. You know, all those fake, I call them the unlock boxes, not the lock. They're unlock boxes because you unlock them. I wonder what they did when they were unlocked. But I call them the unlock boxes. They have tapes of all those boxes. And these incredible women, headed up by Catherine Engelbrecht, who's an incredible patriot. They went around and they looked at miles and miles of tape, film tape, and they found millions and millions of phony votes. And you know what's going to happen? Maybe nothing. You know, maybe nothing. Isn't it sad? The fake news doesn't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about anything bad for the Democrats. They don't want to talk. The biggest thing they don't want to talk about, though, is the election, because they know the result and they don't want it. It's too close. We're too close. We're not too close. We know the results, you know. The biggest lie of all is when they say, the big lie. You ever see these stories when these fakers, they write stories and they say, well, there's absolutely no proof. We got truckloads in every state. Wisconsin, you see what's going on in Wisconsin? Where they have almost 100% in senior citizens facility supposedly voted. But in years past, very few people voted. You know why? They have other problems. They don't care about Trump. I don't blame them. They want to live. They can't breathe. One person came up, my mother's comatose. She hasn't been able to speak for over a year. And they're saying she voted in the election. Honestly, she didn't care about the election. She has much bigger problems. But they had almost 100% of the people in Wisconsin voting. And they have a man, Justice Gableman, a very highly respected man. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic man, and he's issued a report that's just so horrible, so damning as to we're like a third world country, and we're third world with the press too, because they're among the most dishonest people. Every sentence. I read something today in one of our main papers. Almost every sentence, every time they talk about the election, well, nothing has been proven. Well, it's all out there. It's there. And this one's going to be interesting because David was great, what he did with the $417 million, how it went to mostly Democrat areas. And I can't believe it's legal, David. I just can't believe it. But when you watch this one that's coming out now, and I'm not necessarily talking about the movie or the documentary, but that covers it to an extent. But they have much more even than that. When they release their findings next week or the week after, millions and millions of votes. And they focused on swing states. They didn't focus on others. They probably did something there, too, the bad people, the corrupt people. But the swing states were devastating, and the information they found was devastating. And I could go over things like left and right. When you look at what happened in Detroit, was so bad. Philadelphia was so bad. Atlanta was so bad. That governor did nothing. I got him in when I endorsed him. I got this guy elected. He did nothing. And one thing has nothing to do with the other. But I'll tell you what, he did nothing for the people of Georgia or the people of this country. He didn't want to know about it. I think he was embarrassed by how bad it was, and he didn't want it down on his watch. And that's not what it's about. And frankly, if he did the right thing, it would have been a positive for him. It would have been a positive. He's like afraid of this Stacey Abrams. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but he has done such a bad job. And I hope they get out, by the way, Charles W., and vote for David Perdue. I do hope so, because he's in there fighting. He would have been a senator. I mean, except for the horrible corruption. You look at Fulton. Just take a look at what took place in Fulton County. It's a horrible thing that took place. So it was all too corrupt. It's now really been proven. That's why you read the stories and you see, while there's no evidence, while Trump is a big lie, this is the big lie they call it. The big lie is actually reversed. The big lie is their big lie. And, you know, I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever said it before a group. It would have been very easy to lose. You lose. Somebody wins, somebody loses. What's very hard is when you get more votes than any sitting president in history by far, when if you got the same number that you got 4 years before, you win easy, they say. They said, well, if you got the same, Obama got fewer votes the second time, and he won very easily. I mean, the person he was campaigning against wasn't that good, but he won very easily. I got far more votes than we got the first time. That meant, you know, that means that I did a good job. So, honestly, when you lose the election, you know, hey, look, you know, I gave it my best, and you say, I gave it my best, and we worked hard, and we lost. I would have loved to have congratulated a person that people would have said won, and if it were fact, I would have been the first one to stand up there and say he won, but it was a rigged election, and he didn't win. Not only didn't he win, he lost by a lot. And you saw so many different things where he got more votes with the African-American community than Obama. Give me a break. In certain locations, give me. It's always a very important location. You ever notice? Where so many other, I mean, just point after point, many different things. So ballot harvesting is coming out next week. That's determinative. That's election changing. But there are many other things that were also election changing. Matt Schlapp worked in Nevada, and he went in there very skeptical, and he came out, he said, man, this thing was really corrupt. But we had a Democrat judge who threw the damn thing out. He didn't want to look at it. Anybody reading it would have said, wow. But you couldn't believe it, right? He became a believer then. He wasn't a believer maybe the first day or the second day, but after he saw all the evidence, he literally went there to look at it, and he studied it, CPAC, and he said, man, this thing was really corrupt. But we had a judge that didn't even want to look at it. We had many judges without any courage. They didn't want to look at it. They didn't want to talk about it, including our Supreme Court of the United States, including them. What they did was almost 20 states filed, because listen to this system. The President of the United States doesn't have standing. I'm the President of the United States. I just went through a rigged election, and I have no standing. So I can't file a case. They say I can't file, but the states can file. So 20 states, almost 20 states got together, headed up by Texas, a good group of people, I will tell you. And I think that Attorney General is doing very well in Texas. He's got his race coming up in a very short period of time. I think he's going to do, by the way, 33-0 in Texas. I was 3 on endorsements, 33-0. And you know, if I lost one race, they'd say Trump was humiliated. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for one race. You know, we've endorsed Dr. Oz. We've endorsed JP, right? J.D. Mandel, and he's doing great. They're all doing good. They're all doing good. And let's see what happens. But if I lose one race, we have so many races that we're leading by a lot. If it's like 40-2 or 40-1 or 40-3, they're going to say Trump was humiliated. He was humiliated. I think Vance is doing well. I think Oz is doing well. Does everybody like Oz? I love Oz. Who cares? I think he's going to also do better in the general election. So, you know, there are a lot of reasons to endorse people. Guys like Mitch McConnell and Rhino Friends would rather see a Democrat like Biden be president than a Republican like me. I'm a little bit different kind of a Republican. We want to get things done. It sort of works better for him and his agenda, but it doesn't work well for our country. He should have done something about all of the things that we were just talking about with the rigged election. When a thief robs a jewelry store and gets caught, they have to give the jewelry back, right? They have to give it back. They don't keep it. So here they're saying we found all of this fraud and all of these irregularities, and but we'll keep it the same. You know, they say there's no mechanism. There's no mechanism. Think of it: the election, rigged and stolen. We found out how, and the Republican leadership doesn't want to do anything about it. They say, sir, you'll see it in a second. You're winning. You're winning in a landslide for the next one. You're doing great. You're beating the Republicans by insurmountable numbers, and you're beating Joe Biden by a lot. Think to the future, sir. And I say that you never can think totally to the future until we solve the past, because if we don't solve the past, the same thing's going to happen again, right? I mean, that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. But watch these elections. You know, when I won in Texas, 33-0, I didn't see any stories written about it, Matt. Not one story. Now, I'm sure there were a couple, you know, local papers. If I would have lost 2 or 3 of the races, and some of those races actually were, you know, they say, oh, well, they were favored. No, a lot of those races, a number of those races, I picked underdogs. I did it with the Senate. Dr. Oz was being swamped by people that have a lot of money, and they were and he was down by 10 points, and now he's up substantially. And J.D. Vance was being swamped. I think he was in 4th place, and now he's up. I didn't pick people that were sure things at all. I don't do it. I do what's right. I do what's right. And I'm picking people that are going to win the general election. The networks and the media are trying to censor us and cancel us. And what Fox is trying to do is have Trumpism without Trump. Let's do Trumpism without Trump. That was in a paper today. They said they're looking to do Trumpism without Trump. Who likes Trumpism without Trump? Does anybody, I hope? Does anybody like it? Okay. I don't think so. I don't know. You know, it's sort of, I don't know how it's going to play, but they're working hard at it. And even the New York Times said today in a major article, quote, segments featuring Fox's own reporters consistently drew lower ratings, especially if they were covering stories the audience deemed unavoidable and unfavorable to Trump. So if they took a story that was unfavorable to Trump, their ratings went down. Do I love the people? I love the people, and they love me. I love the people. What the hell? Did I give up a lot? Did I give up a lot? But nothing like this has ever happened. I have been under investigation for longer periods of time, and vicious. I mean, in New York State, I have this woman. She's a total racist and horrible woman. And I have been under investigation from the day I came down the escalator with our great First Lady. And And I say it loud and clear. I've had more investigations than Jesse James, Billy the Kid, and the legendary Alphonse Capone. You know Al Capone? What he had to go through was peanuts. And think of it, 5 years of this crap, and they got nothing. You know why? Millions and millions of pages of stuff. Nothing. They would have done it in 2 seconds. And it's so bad. It's so dead. They've weaponized all of that. And it's really, really amazing. But we're essentially, when you think of that New York Times quote, we're essentially like family. I protect you and you protect me. That's what's happened. This crazy Piers Morgan, did you see that show? Piers Morgan, thank you, sir. Piers Morgan show. You see Piers Morgan? He sort of had it. I think Piers is over the hill. He opened the show with an interview of me. I did him a favor. I didn't want to do a stupid show. It's on Fox Nation. What is Fox Nation? What is it? They're going to love me when I say, what is Fox? It's on Fox Nation. He opened with great ratings when he did me. And then after my interview was finished, he bombed, and he's now down over 70%. And maybe they'll someday learn that maybe they should hire me as an anchor. Should I go to work? And we'll get the greatest rating. We'll sit there and we'll riff. We'll tell it like it is, as the great Howard Cosell used to say, right? I just tell it like it is. But I didn't like the way Howard went out. Howard was angry at everybody. That was not good. But the expression, tell it like it is, that's what we do. We'll get the highest ratings in history, and I'm going to attribute it all to you, if that would ever. Can you imagine? We're going to make Donald Trump the head of Deface the Nation. You know the show in the morning, Sunday morning? I call it Deface, Face the Nation, right? Or where they have Meet the Press. I say, meet the fake press. They're going to put me in charge of that. But we have some slides that just came out from a great, great pollster, one of the most respected pollsters anywhere in the country, John McLaughlin. He's a real pollster. He's not somebody that in different states says, Trump is down by 15 points and you're actually winning. I said, why do you do that? Like in Wisconsin, ABC News, Washington Post, they said I was down 17 points. And the fact is, I won the state, and I won it last time. They said, Trump is down by 19 points, and I actually won the state. This time, I did better, but they stole it. That's the nursing home story, and many other stories. But I said to John, John, why do they say so much? Why don't they just say he's down 5 points, 6 points? They lose credibility. He said, no, they're not looking. They don't care about credibility. If you're down 19 points, people that love you are going to say, you know, we love our president, but Harry, let's go to a movie. Then we'll come home and we'll watch television, see how it turned out. But when you're down 19 points, it's just as bad as the fake writers back there. When you're down 19 points, people don't vote. So we just got polls out. Think of it. I'm down 19 points and I win the state. Think of that. Can you imagine that? It's fake. He said they don't care. They'll do anything. They'll do anything. I said, why don't they do it, though? 5, 6, 7 points. He said, because you can win if you're down 5 points, but you can't win if you're down 19 points. So they keep, it's called voter suppression. It's a whole big thing. These polls, some of these polls are so fake. Well, look at our election. We won the election twice, but we won the election with polls that were just crazy. And we have some slides that just came out from a legitimate pollster, John McLaughlin. So take a look. So that's the support. You see 83, and the number I hear that's an incredible number is strongly support. Nobody has 63% strongly support. Strongly support means you could do almost anything, and they'll vote for you anyway. I love those people. But 63%, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So that's a very strong poll. 83% is sort of unheard of. I said, how good is 83? Is that good? Because we had Matt Schlapp in CPAC. I was 98%. Stand up, Matt. They did a poll that A straw poll, very respected straw poll. I came at 98% approval rating on the Republican Party. Is that right? And he's the boss of CPAC, except his wife, Mercedes is actually the real boss, but only I know that, Matt. So that's great. So 83. So I'm saying to Matt, is 83 good? Well, I just got 98% from CPAC. But they say that 83% is unheard of. And what's even more unheard of is 63% strongly support. And that's only because we did a great job. Together, we did a great job. I took care of the farmers, I'll tell you that. All right, let's go to the next one. So this is in the Republican primary, if there was a Republican primary. And you see we're doing unbelievably. We're way up above everybody else. Way, way, way up. Numbers that are unprecedented. They say, good names, all good. No, a lot of good people. I see Liz Cheney. Oh, that would be funny. Oh, look, she's at 0%. She had 1 month where she's at 1, but generally she's Liz Cheney. Oh, that would be a dream. I hope that happens because she's losing so badly in Wyoming. You know, Wyoming was my #1 state. I hate to say it, Nebraska, they even topped you guys. But Wyoming, and it turns out that Liz Cheney happens to be from Wyoming, and she's registering. I think, David, she's at a record low number, right? So we should be able to get rid of her. She's horrible. She's sick. She wants people to be killed in all these crazy wars that we fight where half the countries, people never even heard of the countries. They don't want us there. They don't even want us there. Let's have the next one, whatever it may be. So now, if you take a look, wow, that's fantastic. Trump, definitely, 37. Look at that. So how the hell does he have 43? I say the poll is inaccurate. I say it's an accurate poll. So that's against Joe Biden, the man you just saw on tape. He gets 43%. Somebody said I'm winning. Somebody said I was up 19 points. I said, how come 19? Well, how does he get all those votes? But we're up by a lot. And what's the next one? Harris. Oh, Kamala. We're only up 10 points on her. Then we had other people. They put, I think, crooked Hillary Clinton in one poll. She didn't do too well. Crooked Hillary. Do you see all the fake stuff that's coming out now? I have to say, John Durham is putting out a lot of very powerful stuff. It's very important for our country. So they're great numbers. Look, we're great numbers, but in the meantime, we have a long way to go, and we have something very important. Our country is just dying with this group of people. We're dying, and so many bad things are happening. One of our most urgent priorities when Republicans retake Congress must be to end the nightmare on the southern border, where our country is being poisoned, weakened, and permanently stained. Every day, Biden's open border agenda is getting innocent Americans absolutely slaughtered. Just weeks ago, an illegal alien was charged with savagely murdering a married couple in the prime of their life for no reason whatsoever. They were riding their bikes near their home in Daytona Beach, Florida. He stabbed them repeatedly, mutilated them, and dumped them in a field. Horrible thing. You saw this story, a big story, happening all over the country in what was described as one of the most brutal murders the police had ever seen. One of the policemen, I saw him on television, he said, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen horrible, horrible murders. I've never seen anything like this. They were riding their bicycle. And just last week, a heroic member of the Texas Army National Guard specialist, Bishop Evans, you read about this one too, tragically lost his life in the Rio Grande after he jumped in trying to save the lives of illegal border crossers who turned out to be not just border crossers. They turned out to be criminal alien drug smugglers with tremendous amounts of drugs. They were trafficking in drugs and illicit narcotics. He died. He died. The Biden administration's complete abolition of America's border is a crime against the citizens of our nation. It's a crime against humanity. Under the defund the police mantra, our Democrat-run cities are also being ravaged by the scourge of violent crime. Never forget, the radical left wants you to be locked in your home and take away your freedoms while they set loose dangerous criminals all over our country without bail and release repeat offenders without charges, destroying your country, your family, and destroying your life. The greatest threat to public health in our cities is not COVID. It's the Democrats' weak on crime agenda and policies. Record-setting crime is taking place with shootings and stabbings far more than COVID. In Chicago, as an example, there have been 44 people murdered and 168 people brutally shot. Many of them never will recover, compared to 87 deaths for COVID in the last 4 weeks. Can you believe that? 4 weeks. Democrats are the party of crime, chaos, and death. Republicans are the part, and I think this is pretty well acknowledged. Republicans are the party of law, order, and life. We must elect strong, tough, America First Republicans at every single level. Right here in Nebraska, you have the chance to elect a die-hard MAGA champion as your governor, a man who's been with us from the very, very beginning. One of the reasons I'm here right now, Charles W. Herbster. I first got to know Charles when he was one of my earliest supporters and made him the chair of my Agriculture Advisory Committee of 2016. I'll tell you, he did a great job. He did a great job. He was so into it. He wanted to help the farmer. As a fifth-generation Nebraska farmer and rancher who really knows his business, he had great careers in business and other things. Everything he did was successful. No one will fight for this state harder than Charles. He's a person that happens to love the state of Nebraska. Most importantly, Charles W. Herbster will never bend to the rhinos, the media, or the radical left. That's why they're doing everything they can to stop him. Malicious charges to derail him long enough that the election can go by before the proper defense can be put forward. But he's already got the proper defense. He doesn't even know about this stuff. That's the proper defense. Charles is a fine man, and he's innocent of these despicable charges. By the way, Charles, welcome to politics. Nice business, isn't it? You know, after I won the election in 16, friends of mine, tough guys, business people, I used to think these were the toughest people. These guys were tough. They're from New York, real estate guys. And I used to go around and say, oh, these businessmen are the toughest, and women. And I said, oh, no. Then they asked me about 2 years when they had all the different hoaxes that came up, Russia, Russia, Russia. Turned out to be a fake story. Think of it. It's a fake story. And they have it now as a fake. And people are being indicted all over the place. They made up the story. I kept saying, people would say to me during the campaign, sir, do you know anything about Russia? I'd say, no, not much. Why? Well, I don't know. There's a lot of rumors going. Dave Bosse would come up. Sir, do you know anything about Russia? And this is during the campaign, right? And I'd say, I mean, yeah, I can tell you where it is, Dave. I don't know too much about it. You know, I thought it was just an innocent question. But after you get asked a question like 7 times, and young people would come up, Matt Schlepp called me, asked me a question. Sir, what do you know about Russia? I'm saying, what the hell is going on with Russia? It was a fake story that was put out there, and they wouldn't go away. We wasted 2 years on that fake story, and now we caught them, and we caught them in the act. And they should pay a price for that. It's a terrible thing. Your state is very poorly represented by a grandstanding, little-respected senator called Little Ben Sass. He's bad news. Who's an embarrassment to the people of Nebraska. He's a total embarrassment. This guy started off, this Little Ben Sass, he's a lightweight. He started off so nasty to me. I won the presidency, and I met with the 52 at the time senators, and everybody was nice. I helped McConnell get elected. Without me, McConnell would have lost, by the way. And I helped numerous of them get elected. But this Little Ben Sass asked me a question. What do you know about The military. I said, what do I know about it? Just got elected president. It's a nasty question. He said this in front of 52 Republicans, David. You never even heard. I've never told this, I don't think. But this little wise guy, well, what do you know about this? What do you know about health care? You've never done it before. I just got elected president. I said, who is that little guy back there? I said, I never saw him before. They said, his name is Ben Sass. Ben Sass, he's from Nebraska. I said, he's a fresh son of a bitch, isn't he, though? No, he's like grilling me. I said, you're a nasty guy. You know that, right? Well, I'm just saying, and then he was very bad for a year. Then all of a sudden, the people started to speak. He saw he was going down the tubes. So Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, and some others came over, and they said, he'd love to meet you. Would you be willing to meet him? I said, I really don't want to meet him. I mean, but anyway, he came over to the White House. He was groveling, because you were letting him know that he was not long for this world. And he apologized, and he could not have been nicer for 2 years, okay? And then it came time to endorse, and I didn't really want to endorse him because that first year was horrible with that little wise guy. And he was like a gnat, you know? Get him off. Get him off my ass. But he was fine. He was fine, and he was okay. And so Lindsey and Ted Cruz came over, and some others were talking. Would you endorse him? Would you endorse him? He's going to be good. Would you endorse him? He was begging for the endorsement. And, you know, the head of your Republican Party is not a fan of this guy. And he called me, he said, after the fact, he said, I wish you would have told us you couldn't stand this guy. We would have run somebody against him. We would have won. I said, well, I wish I would have done that. And frankly, I wish I would have done it to Mitch McConnell also, because we would have won in Kentucky. But we didn't. So they treat you nice, and then you give him an endorsement, and then he won. And the day after he won, remember this? He came out. Trump should not have removed troops from Germany. We had 54,000 troops in Germany. They're delinquent on their payments to NATO. They're paying half what they should be paying. We're defending them. They screw us on cars. I mean, when was the last time they sold a Chevrolet? I asked Angela. When was the last time, to the best of your knowledge, Angela, when was the last time you sold a Chevrolet in Munich? When was the last time in Berlin we sold a Ford? Well, I don't know. I can tell you it didn't happen for many years, unless it's in a museum, maybe a museum from many years ago. And yet they sell Mercedes-Benz and BMW and Volkswagen by the millions and millions. They don't take our farm product, Europe. You know, Europe is not much better than China was on trade. So I went down and I said, you know, we have 54,000 soldiers over in Germany. That's a lot of soldiers. That's like a city. And they make a fortune because the soldiers get paid and they go out and they buy in the stores and they do all this stuff. And they didn't treat us right. They haven't treated us. They've been very bad on trade. So I said, we're going to remove 25,000 soldiers from Germany. And, you know, just remove 25. And Angela went crazy because, you know, economically it's very good for Germany. And I did that. And then Ben Sass comes the day after the election, and he starts criticizing me and removing soldiers from Germany. And, you know, Germany's going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine. But I'll never forget it. The guy wins his election, and then he hits me. So little Ben Sass is bad news. Another one that I think is bad news is your guy Don Bacon. I think he's bad news. And I hope you vote like hell against that guy. He's bad news. He's always chirping in the background, never constructive. Just another wise guy like little Ben Sass. And I wish I would have known your Republican chairman. He was very good. He was great. He said, you know, if you would have told us. I said, no, you should have told me. I wish you told me. I said, did you have anybody? He said, no, but we would have had somebody, and they would have beaten Ben Sass. With Don Bacon, I think it would have been the same. Actually, you have a gentleman running. I think he's here, right? Right? You know, I was taking pictures backstage, and he's a nice guy. Keel, Steve Keel, he's a nice guy. Now, I don't know Steve. I don't know Steve. Where's Steve Keel? Well, hi, Steve. How are you? No, he gave me his nice card. He's a beautiful wife, wonderful wife. She loves him so much. She's like, tears are coming down her eyes. He loves Nebraska. He loves Nebraska. Steve Keel. It's pronounced Keel, but it's spelled Kuel. HL. How the hell did you get Keel out of that one, right? But he's just a really nice guy, and I just met him, and, you know, I have no idea how he's going to do. Bacon's been there for a long time, but he's not good, so I'm not endorsing one way or the other. I know nothing, but I've heard great things that Steve is a high-quality guy who loves the estate. I think Bacon's a bad guy, you know? I mean, he's a bad guy, but I wish him all well, and I think Steve will probably do a lot better than people would anticipate, and I hear he's working very hard. So good luck. Good luck, Steve, whoever the hell you are. Okay? And now his wife is happy. I wanted to make her stop crying. I wanted to stand up, wife. I wanted to make her stop crying, and now she's happy as hell. That's good. With your vote for Charles this primary, you can give a stinging rebuke to the rhinos and the sellouts and the losers, and you got a bunch of losers, and you could put an authentic America First warrior and somebody that's going to do well in your negotiations with foreign countries who take advantage of Nebraska and which are an advantage, right? Too aggressive. If you don't like him being too aggressive, you probably shouldn't vote for him. But he's being too aggressive for you. Remember that. But he's a very successful person in business life and in other things, and I'd like to have him come up. He's really somebody that's been put through a grinder, and it's very unfair. He's a high-quality person. Charles, come on up.
I stood at Trump Tower on June 16th of 2015 when Donald J. Trump and Melania Trump came down the escalator, and I said to my wife, Judy, you have just met the next president of the United States of America. And then 17 people running in the Republican Party for the President of the United States of America, one by one, they just dropped by dominoes. 5 presidents promised they would move the embassy to Jerusalem, and on May 18th of 2018, Donald J. Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and he did it for 10% less the money, and probably it would have taken 5 times more years to do it, along with the fact that he appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States of America 3 conservative Supreme Court justices. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, Charles. That's pretty good for a businessman, right? You just hear that? That's pretty good, Charles. So, early voting is already underway, and the primary, as you know, is on May 10th. And I think Charles is going to do very well. And if he does, you'll be very happy, and you're going to have an even more prosperous state. We've made it very prosperous, and I really think he's going to do just a fantastic job. And if I didn't feel that, I wouldn't be here. And it's not even about the friendship. I do have a feeling, because he was right there, right at the beginning. He was able to predict it, but he's going to do a fantastic job. So get out and vote for Charles W. Herbster. We're also joined by a man from another state, a great state, a place that I love and that I've had tremendous success there also. It's the state of Missouri, and this gentleman is Congressman Billy Long. Do you know that? Do you know Billy? Billy, stand up, Billy. He's been a great friend of ours. He's another one right from the beginning. Thank you, Billy, very much for coming. Appreciate it. He's a great guy. He's a character, too, but he's a great guy. Former NFL star and a great supporter, again, right from the beginning. He was a hell of a football player, Jack Brewer. Jack, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. A man who I just introduced with his 98% poll. Anybody, anytime I get a 98% poll, I like that guy. I don't care. But I do like him, and I've liked him for a long time. I've liked him before he was the head of CPAC. And his wife is incredible, worked in the White House with us, Mercedes. Matt Schlapp. Matt, thank you. Another longtime friend of mine, and David, I think you were there, right, just about at the beginning, right? Very close. Was it? He said before the beginning. He was. We had some of them that were actually there before the beginning, like we're not going to vote unless this guy from New York named Trump, unless he's the only guy going to win. So, and we did do much better the second time, you have to say. Much better, like a different world. But he's the head of Citizens United. The job he's done is incredible, and I really hope you're going to go see the documentary he made on Zuckerberg. It's really incredible what these guys are allowed. You know, we have people that we know very well. Recently, it took place in a certain state that you know very well, Nebraska, where they put a man. They want to put a congressman in jail over a tiny amount of money. I don't know what the event was. I don't know what the charge was, but I saw he was convicted. I think the trial was in California, which is a little strange. And it was over a very small amount. Here's a group of people. I know nothing about it, but, you know, it looked like a very, very unfair prosecution. But here's a guy, think of it, who put up $417 million, and nothing happens. With the other one, you're talking about thousands of dollars, and he said he didn't know about it. So it's a very sad double standard. Another man who's a friend of mine who's a real patriot, he really is, and he's a great gentleman. I call him the greatest purchaser of advertising in history. I think he makes the best deal. I would love him to buy. If there's a next campaign, which I suspect you people think there will be, I should have him buy our ads. Because we will get more success out of a dollar. I've never seen a guy like this. He can buy more ads. I mean, the pillow business must be a very profitable business. Mike Lindell, he's been a friend right from the beginning. Those commercials going, they're the longest commercials. Mike, cut them down a little. Cut them down. I don't know how the hell he buys so much, but boy, he's a good negotiator, and he's a man that knows and understands the election very well and what took place. He's a patriot. With the help of many people here tonight, over 4 incredible years ago, we grew the conservative movement into a working people's movement. The Republican Party is now a party of a lot of people, but working people more than maybe anybody else. And, you know, we've expanded this party to a level that's why they say we want the party, we want everything. We just don't want Trump. By the way, that's the liberal media saying that. That's not the people saying it. That's why we call it Trumpism without Trump. And we're never going back. Our movement must continue to pursue a populist and nationalistic.
We want Trump! 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 We want Trump!
Thank you. Thank you. By the way, this is not only a big crowd. Look at those beautiful fields of corn and everything. This is so beautiful. You're so lucky to be growing up. I've seen things where I grew up that are a little tough. You don't have those things happening in your community. You're very lucky, and you're very talented, too. You have an incredible law enforcement group who I met backstage, by the way. Thank you to the police and to your fire department. Thank you. Thank you to the fire department. Our movement must continue to pursue a populist and nationalist economic agenda that puts working families before globalist politicians that are fools and corrupt multinational corporations. A lot of these people, like this guy Toomey, Republican from Pennsylvania, I wouldn't give him my endorsement, and he didn't run. He did nothing at all except fight me on taxing China. I said, let me ask you, Pat, I want to charge China taxes and/or tariffs. You can call it whatever you want. To me, it's very similar because they've been screwing us for so many years. Sir, you can't do that. Why can't I do that? Let me ask you, if they have a car and they charge 50% or 100% or something else, and they're charging 100%, and I have the same product going the opposite direction, and I want to charge 100%, can I? No, sir, that's not free trade. I said, so they can charge, we can't, and you don't want to make any money. Supposing I charge them not 100%, but 25, is that okay? No, sir, that's not free and fair trade, sir. So I wouldn't give him my endorsement, and he actually voted to impeach me. Can you believe it, this guy? That was before the fact. I decided I couldn't wait. You know, when they wanted me to endorse him, I said, no thanks. And I knew I had a vote coming up. That shows I'm legit. Look, I know I would have done the right thing to do in terms of being smart, but I'm an honest person. I said, I'm not going to endorse him. He can vote any way he wants. And we had great support in the Senate, and we had incredible support in the Republican House. We had just incredible support. And I want to thank, we went through this thing twice. We went through, Bill Barr didn't want to be impeached. He said, how do you not get impeached? You don't do election fraud stuff. He didn't want to, sir, I don't want to be impeached. But he didn't want to be impeached. So all of a sudden he goes a little bit on the other side and he doesn't get impeached. No, I think you have to have courage. If we're going to win, you have to have courage. So I said, no, I'm not going to support him. Knowing a vote's coming up, I mean, like, I'm a smart guy. Knowing a vote's coming up, I said, I wonder if he's now going to vote against. And he did vote against for no reason whatsoever, by the way. And, you know, with the House, 6 down and 4 to go. Those are the 10 impeachers, right? The 10 impeachers, the Liz Cheneys and the Adam crying Kinzinger. You ever see this guy? He's always crying. He should see a psychiatrist. This guy, he's constantly crying. Call him Crying Adam. But he's out. He quit. Gonzalez quit. A lot of them quit. Guy in South Carolina is just getting absolutely pummeled. You know, he voted in South Carolina. Like, I think it's a Trump plus 28 district. I don't know, we're up by a lot. And he voted, and he votes, and the next day he gets just hammered at home. He gets hammered. He said, I never knew I was going to commit political suicide over this. But his name is Rice, Congressman Rice from South Carolina. He's getting hammered now, and they have a great candidate against him. So we're doing good, but I just feel that that's not acceptable what they did. We've done a great job, and to vote with the Democrats on a scam impeachment thing, because Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, say what you want, they're horrible, their policy is horrible, but they do stick together. They stick together like glue. We stood up for Nebraska like no president in history. We ended the disaster known as NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made in the history of our country. And we replaced it with the USMCA, the best trade deal ever made in our country, although I think the deal I made with China is even better, if you want to know the truth. But China now, and they were adhering to it, but now they're not adhering to it so much anymore because I left and they don't give a damn about this administration. But we made a great deal. We made both great deals. In fact, be careful because they want to renegotiate the USMCA. Mexico and China, they want to renegotiate. You've probably been reading. They say the deal's not fair. Isn't it nice that finally we have a deal where another country is saying it's not fair, okay? Because none of these deals, we made the worst deals I've ever seen. So the USMCA, don't renegotiate. Biden, don't renegotiate. We stood up to China like no one has ever stood up to them, taking in billions and billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. And we gave, of the billions and billions and billions we took in money, we gave $28 billion to the farmers. You know that, right? Because I said, let me ask you, I was with a very good Secretary Perdue. I was with a very good man. I said, what was the most money that China purchased from us prior to them going on like a strike? They didn't want to do business. And he said 28. It was, I guess it was 14 and 14 or 12 and 16, $28 billion. I said, that's okay. When the money starts pouring in, I'm giving $28 billion to the farmers, and I gave you $28 billion. And I see that beautiful John Deere tractor back there. And if you remember what I said, because you know what I love about the farmers, they stood with me all the way. They never complained. They said, look, it's tough. Well, I was negotiating because China was essentially not doing what they should do. And they were boycotting, and they weren't buying anything. They thought they were going to force me out, that I'd lose the farm support. And it was just the opposite. The farmers stood with me. I don't know if you know about this, David. They stood with me. I was in the White House, and we had 35 farmers come in. I said, I'm going to get you so much money. I'm going to take care of you in so many different ways, including from China. And we're going to do some subsidy to the farmers. And 3 of them looked at me, sir, we don't want subsidy. We just want a level playing field. I said, you got to be kidding me. That's the first time I've ever heard anyone say that. Everyone wants to get, they just want freebies. The only one that ever said that to me were the farmers. We don't want subsidies. Just give us a level playing field. So I gave them more than a level playing field. I gave them a level playing field that looked like this. It was a glide scope, but they were incredible. I've never forgotten that statement, because usually when they come in, they all want money. They want something, whatever it is, every group, they want money. And if I call it subsidy, if I call it whatever, they want it. The farmers didn't want it. I'll never forget it. They were virtually unanimous, 35 great farmers, good people. Some are friends of mine now. But they said, we don't want that, sir. We just want a level playing field. But I gave the farmers, as you know, many of you are beneficiaries, $28 billion, because that's what China did to hurt you for 2 years. And the farmers stood with me all the time, and I love the farmers, love the farmers. But you remember my line? I said, listen, we're going through a negotiation. They want to win, so they stopped buying from our country. Remember that? I said, don't worry about it. Stick with me, and you'll have to do one thing. What? You'll have to buy bigger land, more acreage, and you'll have to get bigger tractors, right? So I said, you'll need more land and bigger tractors. And I'm looking at that one. That's a pretty big one, right? That's pretty big. John Deere. I'll tell you, John Deere likes us a lot. That I can tell you. Sold plenty of big tractors. We then secured a deal that included the largest agricultural purchase and orders in the history of our country. China made the biggest deal after we waited, and we had a 1.5-year negotiation, and the farmers, you know, they were being hurt, but I said, I'll take care of it. A couple of farmers I watched on one of the shows, a guy said, you know, I'm being hurt badly. I don't even know if I'm going to make it, but the president's doing the right thing. You got to stop what they're doing to our country. They were ripping us off, but we made a great deal. To save family farms, we virtually eliminated the unfair estate tax, or the death tax on your farms. So if you had good children, you want to leave the farm. If you have crappy children, to hell with them. Don't give them anything. True. We used to talk about it. We got rid of the estate tax on your farm. So now instead of, you know what used to happen before me, because it's not that liquid a business. It's like other things. It's a good business, but it's not that liquid. You have a valuable farm, but it doesn't throw off the kind of money, the value's there. So what I did is I said, we got to do something, because people are losing their farms because of estate tax. It would be valued high, but it didn't make enough money, and they'd leave it to the kids, and the kids would look up and say, Mom and Dad, what the hell did you leave me this farm for? Now they don't have estate tax, essentially, unless it's a very large place. They don't have estate tax to pay, and a lot of people understood that. That was a hard one to get. They're trying to change that around. The Democrats want to change that around, by the way, but that's done by Congress. We got that approved with the tax bill. I stood up for ethanol and Nebraska ethanol, and authorized ethanol producers to sell E15 and all year around, not 8 months. That was the craziest thing. They were selling it for 8 months. Said, what about a little bit more than that? But we have E15 all year round. And we cut regulations so filling stations could distribute higher ethanol gasoline from existing pumps. You remember what? It was going to cost so much money to change the pumps. They had to get brand new pumps. I said, what's the difference? There is none, sir. So why are they doing this? I don't know. I think it's called torture. And we let them use the existing pumps, and that's all been done. We fought for Nebraska, and we won for Nebraska. And when we win this November, we will fight and win for Nebraska once again, and we will keep winning for Nebraska. And that means other farm states also. And frankly, it means other states, period, whether it's farms or not. I treated Nebraska really well, and likewise, Nebraska treated me really well, and I appreciate it. One of our top priorities must be to defend parents' rights. You see what's going on? No teacher should ever be allowed to teach transgender to our children without parental consent. Those days will soon be over. We will save our kids, and we will also keep men out of women's sports. Is that okay, right? Yeah. I feel so sorry. The women, you know, they had a record, a swimming record. You know this, a record that lasted for 11 years. And yet one really great woman swimmer, a young woman who wanted to break it. She's a top star. And she thought she could break it by 1/8 of a second. She's gonna do it. And then this dude came in and he swam. He broke the record by 38 seconds, right? 38. In fact, she said she was almost injured. She got injured by the wind of him going by her in the pool. The wind. She got windburn. But the best of the weightlifting records, those are the ones I like. This woman, I think it was 208, but whatever it was. And she was great. Strong, strong. I wouldn't want to mess with her. She was strong. And, you know, they take like a half an ounce and they put it in the ends. She's going, ah. I think it was an 18-year record or some ridiculous time. Ah. Didn't make it. This guy comes along. Pink, one inch. Could have stood there all day. I think he broke it by, was it over 100 pounds or something like that? So they were going for 1/8. I think they put an eighth of it. That's right. They added a 1/4 of an ounce to the barbells, and she couldn't quite make it. She'll make it someday. Problem is, they're going to have a hard time breaking these new records, because these new records, I'll tell you what, I hate to say this to women, and I don't want to disrespect you, and it's a horrible thing, and the fake news will say, what a horrible thing. Look, they're all standing there. Oh, finally, we're waiting. They're waiting for a tidbit. But if I were a basketball coach, I would have 5 men on my team, I swear to you, because I want to win. I'll get the toughest, tallest, strongest men in history that want to go into the women's sphere, and I will have the greatest basketball team in the history of our world. I'll say to LeBron James, who I don't like very much, I'll say, LeBron, did you ever have thoughts of going woman? Because if you did, I'd like to have you on my basketball team. It's true. It's true. Okay, let's get on with it. In addition, we get critical race theory out of our schools, out of our military, and out of every part of our federal, state, and local governments. The radical left Democrat Party is not a 50% party within our country. I'm telling you. They're not a 50. They cheat on elections. They're not a 50-50 party. They're against God. They're against guns. They're against oil. They're against law enforcement. Defund the police. How stupid is that? They're against voter ID. Even Democrats vote 87% for voter ID. They're against the Constitution, and they're against our founding fathers. That's not a 50% party. The only way they win is to cheat. I believe this. Now, some people can dispute it. They cheat in the elections, and they cheat now like never before. And these ballots, these paper ballots that are being sent out by the millions and millions, you'll never, ever be able to control it, whether it's postmen or women, and, you know, both ways, whether it's postmen, and they tend to be very Democrat. They tend to be. That's the way it is, for whatever reason. They tend to be very Democrat, or any other ways. And the ballot harvesting, which is totally illegal, what they do with ballot harvesting. And I said this before the election, and we saw it in New York. They had some small elections in New York where they had mail-in ballots, and they still don't know what the hell happened. And that was a small congressional election. They had an election in New Jersey, a ballot election, before the presidential election. And to this day, they have no idea what the hell happened. But, you know, you take California. I think we do much better in California. You know, they all say that you lose automatically by millions of votes. I don't believe that. I went to California, did just one rally, because I was told don't go to California. I never saw a crowd like that. This crowd was massive, massive. They sent out millions and millions and millions of ballots. Many people got 2, 3, 4, 5. The highest I heard was 9, but they got many, many ballots. I don't believe California is not a winnable state. I think if you had a fair election, I think it's a very winnable state. I think we have a lot of winnable states. I don't think they'd win at all if we had fair elections. That's why one of the highest priorities for Congress will be to crack down on the left wing. These are Republicans that want to do it. Guys like Jim Jordan, who's fantastic, and others. Jim Banks. We've got a lot of great people in Congress. Think of it. For the impeachment hoax number 1, I think it was 196 to nothing. They stuck together. It was just a hoax. But we have some great people. But they want to crack down on left-wing censorship and restore free speech in America. And those people back there are a big problem because they're so corrupt. The press is corrupt. Go out and sign up now, by the way, for Truth. Did you see Truth? Truth Social. Which is #1 on the Apple App Store. Can you believe that? For 6 days now, ahead of TikTok, ahead of Facebook, ahead of all of them. Can you imagine this? I do this thing, and it's great. It's really good. The people love it. They love the interaction. They love what's going on. Truth Social, go out and sign up because that's going to be our voice. Last week, the Biden administration announced they're creating a so-called Disinformation Governing Board at the Department of Homeland Security, run by a highly partisan left-wing lunatic who tried to convince people that the Russia hoax was true and that the Hunter Biden laptop information was put out by Russia, which he knew was false. Disinformation. That's what they do, disinformation. And if, just like they do the big lie, while it's the big lie, while there's no proof, while the president is a bad person, and what they're doing on January 6th is horrible. It's horrible what they're doing there. What they're doing, that's disinformation, too, at the highest level. And yet nothing happens to Antifa, to Black Lives Matter. They kill people. They burn down courthouses, federal courthouses. Nothing happens. It's like we have 2 different countries. It's so unfair. The Democrat Party's brazen, desperate attempts at censorship prove how cowardly they actually are. They are very concerned with MAGA, that I can tell you, and probably they should be. When Republicans take back Congress, the first thing they will do is defund this ridiculous propaganda board, fire the left-wing censors, and terminate their outrageous violations of our First Amendment rights. By the way, if the radical left does not want you to speak, why would anyone think they would want you to vote? They don't want to have you speak. They don't want to have you vote. Or if they do vote, they want to do something with your vote. How about the people? You know, a lot of Republicans want to vote on Election Day, right? How about many women, many men, but many women would walk in the, I'm here to vote. I'm so proud. They're so proud. They don't want to vote by fake ballot. They want to go in and vote. Yes, ma'am, it's nice to have you. I'm sorry, but you've already voted. No, I haven't. No, I want to vote today. This is Election Day, November 3rd. I want to vote today. Ma'am, you've already voted. No, I didn't vote. I didn't vote. You voted, ma'am. You voted. We'll give you an absentee ballot just in case we can prove otherwise. I wonder how many of those ballots were used. Maybe I would say, Matt, none. Do you think any were? And if you look at the numbers, if you look at the people, the ballots were for Biden. They voted for Biden, and these were people that wanted to vote for Trump. They were very proud people, and they walked in to vote, and they were told that they were already voted. And so they'd leave. Some were angry, some were hurt, some cried. Shuffleton said on his people, we have no choice. We must restore integrity to our elections, or we don't have a country. Between borders and elections, we're not going to have a country any longer. We're poisoning our country. And that means universal voter ID, citizenship confirmation, no more fake drop boxes, and no private money pouring into local elections. And unlike in Georgia, where they still don't have signature verification approved because Kemp doesn't want it for some reason, we want signature verification. Why does Kemp in Georgia not want that? I can tell you why. Just like in France, they just had a big election. There were no problems. We should have one-day voting with only paper ballots and absentee ballots accepted only from distant military service members or people who are very sick and they can't vote, okay? Which is a very small number of people. France just had it. They have paper ballots. They had no problem. And you know, these elections where you have 48 days and it starts 3 weeks early. It goes. They want to have them go afterwards. Much of it wasn't even passed by state legislatures, which, as you know, it has to be done. But these things where they have storage rooms with boxes and boxes of votes, people walking in and out. Sometimes the guard isn't there. Sometimes the people aren't there. And then you have the vote watchers where they throw Republicans out of the election. They throw them out. And physically, very strong, physically strong people, they're throwing older people that are patriots out and scaring the hell out of them. That took place. But we have to have one-day elections again. One day, no lock boxes, no all this, no storage rooms where you have thousands and thousands and actually millions and millions of votes. One day, we can do that easily. One day, we used to do it. For years, we did it. We didn't have problems. Now, all of a sudden, you've got 48 days to vote, and the votes are sitting all over the place. They're laying on the floor. What a mess this country's in. We're just 6 months away from the most important midterm victory in American history, I think, and we need a landslide so big that the radical left cannot rig it or steal it. The one thing that, like we did in Florida, like we did in other states, we won in Texas. Remember in Texas? They said it's going to be a very close election. It wasn't close. The reason they said close, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, because they were trying to rig Texas, and if they say it was close, they can get away with it. If they say it's a landslide and they lose, it's harder for them to get away with. Does that make sense? But we won Texas very big. Think of it. They're against God, guns, and oil. And they say Trump is going to have a hard time in Texas. I don't think so. The Texas people don't think so either. That was proven on November 3rd. This is the year we're going to take back the House. We're going to take back the Senate. We're going to take back America, Charles. And in 2024, most importantly, we are going to take back that beautiful, beautiful house. It's so beautiful. It's called the White House. But before we do anything, we have to put Charles W. Herbster in the governor's mansion. So get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know, and get the hell out to vote for Charles. He will never let you down. With a Republican Congress, we will fight for more jobs for the American family, fair trade for American workers, and more American factories forging more products stamped with that very beautiful phrase. You know what that is? Made in the USA. Thank you. Thank you. We will shut down Biden's border disaster, reinstitute our strong Remain in Mexico policy. How about that? It wasn't easy to get. You know how I got it? I said, if you don't give it to us, we're going to put tariffs on your cars coming in. They stole 32% of our car-making business over many years. Not over my years, but over many years. I said, if you don't agree to remain in Mexico, then we're going to charge you tariffs on all those cars that you send us. And they said, we would love to have everybody remain in Mexico, sir. That would be a wonderful thing. Be a wonderful honor to have all of these gang members stay in Mexico. We think it's great. We will reimpose Title 42, which they're ending. It's the most incredible thing. Strengthen the patriots of ICE and Border Patrol. We will again end catch and release. We will end chain migration, a disaster. We will end the visa lottery. These are things that we did or largely did. We never had a better border. We had the strongest border in the history of our country. And that included human trafficking, mostly women, by the way, I have to tell you. Yeah, a lot of children, but mostly it was women. They had the human trafficking women. And we had the drug numbers down to the lowest point they've been in decades. And now they're the highest and the worst numbers because you just drive in. Nobody's there. We have no idea who they are. They can have drugs. They can have children. They can have women. They just drive into our country. It's horrible. We'll quickly finish the remainder of the wall that we started because, again, I told you, we finished the wall, but we decided to do more. 3 weeks it would be finished, and Biden should do it, but it sounds like they are not. I thought it was impossible that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't even let Texas use the pieces that were sitting there ready to be installed, and they said, you can't do it. They took it away, and they moved it to an area that's miles away. We will stop the Democrat crime wave. We will give our police the power they need and the respect they deserve, and we will not take legal protection away from them. They want to take legal protection away from the police so that everybody, every time a policeman, a policewoman, anybody gives a parking ticket and they get sued, they have to defend themselves. Can you believe that? We will restore law and order in America in these Democrat-run cities. We'll hold China accountable for unleashing the virus upon the world. We will protect innocent life. We will defend our Constitution, and we will defend our Second Amendment, which is under siege. And we will proudly uphold the Judeo-Christian values and principles of our nation's founding. We will restore patriotic education to our schools, and we will teach our children to love their country, honor their history, and always respect our great American flag. In conclusion, our MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, is by far the greatest political movement in the history of our country. And, you know, I say it all the time, and they never even question it. That's how good it is, because I was just a little bit off. It'll be headlines tonight, tomorrow. Together, we're standing up against some of the most menacing forces, entrenched interests, and vicious opponents our people have ever seen, despite great outside dangers. And we do have outside dangers. What's happening with Russia and Ukraine is a tremendous outside danger. Our biggest threat remains the sick, sinister, and evil people from within our country. They're a bigger threat than the outside threat. But no matter how big or powerful these corrupt, radical politicians may be, you must never forget this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. This is your home, this is your heritage, and our American liberty is your God-given right. They're not going to take it away. From Lincoln to Omaha, from Norfolk to Hastings, and from Grand Island to right here in Greenwood, you inherit the legacy of generations of great Nebraska patriots. It's a great state, they're great people. You built America, who gave their blood, sweat, and tears for their country that they love so much. We stand on the shoulders of American heroes who crossed the oceans, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up those skyscrapers, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and made America the single greatest nation in the history of the world. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country from the most horrible things that are right now happening. We are going to fight for America like no one has ever fought before. We will stand up to the radical left lunatics and the rhinos, and we will preserve, protect, and defend the heritage that has been so brilliantly forged over nearly 250 years. Think of that. There's no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield. We will never give in, we will never give up. We will never, ever back down. As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not even stand a chance. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and to God alone. my fellow citizens. This incredible journey that we've been on together has only just begun. It's time to start talking about greatness for our country again. We don't talk about greatness. We talk about everything. We don't talk about greatness. Our country didn't become great by talking about other things. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God, and we're never taking the name God out. We are not taking it out. They want God. They want God taken out. They want God removed. So with the help of everyone here today and citizens all across our land, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Nebraska. Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much.